The following series contains graphic material and is intended for a mature audience. This podcast contains the impressions and the opinions of the hosts based on the information available to them at the time of this recording.
Deborah did have some kind of argument with this man, and it was about him being too hungover to want to work that day. She didn't accept that, evidently. You know, it's unusual, of course, to respond to that kind of a disagreement with this sort of action. The further hypothesis would be that perhaps this man, who evidently came from a rather male-dominant society, the culture was such that men are in charge, don't like being told what to do. This may have played into how he responded. Both women were very accomplished. They were, one would think, somewhat authoritative, charming socially, likely, but still authoritative women, and this may have been somewhat offensive to him. But this subordination was likely, in my view, rather painful. The goal in this case, or both these cases, it seems to me, is about his resentment of being dominated and controlled and, in his mind, humiliated.
Those are the impressions of forensic psychiatrist Dr. Jaye Crowder. As he previously stated, Dr. Crowder did not examine any individuals involved or witness any of the actions. His hypotheses and opinions are based on circumstantial evidence made available to him.
In our last episode of Two Horse Sleigh, we reviewed the results of Nancy Merck's sexual assault kit, tested 11 years after her murder.
The DNA from the kit was linked to Bustos Diaz's DNA with YSTR testing.
And we covered the procedural difficulties regarding Waller County's case against Bustos Diaz for Nancy's murder.
The DA's office did not file a petition prior to Bustos Diaz turning 18.
And finally, whether additional evidence for Nancy's case could be located and tested.
So, where do things stand now, more than 20 years after Nancy Merck was killed?
I'm TK Masters, corporate espionage operative and former detective. I've assumed dozens of aliases while running domestic and international sting operations, cracked multi-million-dollar fraud cases, investigated corrupt attorneys, and there are some cases I still can't discuss.
I'm Dr. M, neurosurgeon, attorney, and writer. After performing surgery for many years, I retired my scalpel and went to the dark side. Now, TK and I will use our combined investigative, medical, and legal expertise to analyze the most compelling and complex crime cases.
Together, we are Sleuth
and Surgeon.
This is the epilogue of Two Horse Sleigh.
In September 2023, another DNA test was performed on evidence from Nancy's case.
The hope was that new testing would yield definitive results.
We contacted the Waller County DA's office in April 2025 for an update.
And were told DPS, a year and a half later, still had not provided the results of the reanalysis.
The knives collected in Deborah's case are another loose end.
We discussed the knives in the last episode.
It has not been disclosed if Waller County obtained that evidence from Harris County for testing.
And then there's Sergeant Justin Lane and Chief Deputy John Kremer Jr.
They were the Waller County Sheriff's Office investigators at the scene of Nancy's murder in 2004. Chief Deputy Kremer left that office.
Ironically, in December 2014, Kremer joined the Waller County District Attorney's Office as an investigator.
And he's currently the chief investigator at the DA's office.
The same office which will ultimately decide whether to prosecute Bustos Diaz for the murder of Nancy Merck.
In June 2024, we emailed investigator Kremer asking to discuss Nancy's case.
He emailed back agreeing to meet.
We thought maybe we'd get answers.
But several days later, investigator Kremer sent another email
saying Nancy Merck's case was active.
and it was necessary for him to postpone our meeting at that time.
At the beginning of our investigation into Nancy's death, we hoped to answer every question. Unfortunately, many remain.
Perhaps the most significant, why wasn't Nancy's murder treated as a homicide? And why was the horse blamed for her death?
TK, for years we've discussed why law enforcement handled the case the way they did.
And while we've developed several plausible theories, we're still searching for a definitive answer.
And a disturbing realization dawned. That is, we may never know for certain.
We certainly welcome any thoughts or comments from our audience regarding this case.
We've also reviewed the reasons why, very possibly, Bustos Diaz will never be charged with Nancy's murder.
But he needs to serve the remainder of his time for the murder of Deborah Kay.
And face charges for his 2010 prison escape.
Which brings us to more unanswered questions.
How did Bustos Diaz pay to hire a private attorney?
And then he was assigned to a medium to minimum security prison.
That and being allowed to work in the furniture factory, in my opinion, a great recipe for an escape.
Bustos Diaz has been on the run for more than 15 years.
In April 2025, the Waller County DA's office stated, no leads have been developed regarding the whereabouts of Bustos Diaz.
Why hasn't he been apprehended?
And has he killed any more women?
Dr. Crowder shared his opinion.
He was very young at the time. Young men, 15 to mid to later 20s, perpetrate by far more violence than any other demographic group. So just in terms of impulse control and the violent propensity associated with that group, he was more at risk then. Now, having done these things may have broken something of a psychological barrier about harming another person. And yet at the same time, the aging process tends to make people somewhat less violent. I don't know that there would necessarily be any more moral compunction about it than there was earlier, but at the same time, the impulse control is likely better.
Bustos Diaz is a 15 most wanted fugitive on the U.S. Marshals list with a reward of up to $25,000. Finally, for Nancy Merck and Deborah Kay, as well as their loved ones, our hope is this podcast will lead to the apprehension of Jose Fernando Bustos Diaz.
As in all criminal matters, persons are considered innocent unless proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law. You should not approach or make contact in any way with any suspect or wanted fugitive named in the content of this program or any related social media site, as they may be dangerous. For more information and photos related to this case, visit our YouTube channel @Sleuth Surgeon.